Good afternoon and welcome back to Traveling McGee. My name is Derek and we are here in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. This is day 2 for me. Yesterday we were touring the battlefield and we walked through the visitor center, and today we are transitioning more to Gettysburg, the town. We're going to be walking through the National Cemetery today as well. So get ready as we tour the beautiful town of Gettysburg. So my first stop here today in town, in the town of Gettysburg, is going to be here at the National Cemetery. I'm not going to be talking while I'm filming in the cemetery. You'll see a sign that says to be quiet out of respect as you walk through the cemetery, so I won't be talking, but I'll put up little blurbs of information as I walk through. In the cemetery is the area where Lincoln gave the Gettysburg Address, so I'll be showing you that. There are a lot of unmarked graves. You'll see there's just kind of like this semicircle shape, small stones that kind of stand up out of the ground. A lot of the individuals who are buried here were not identified. Dog tags did not exist during the Civil War, so it was very, very difficult to identify the bodies. So unfortunately, a lot of times there were just kind of mass graves where people were just buried unnamed or unmarked. So you will see that a lot in this cemetery. The cemetery was laid out pretty quickly after the end of the battle. The Gettysburg Address was given about 5 months after the battle took place. So by that point, the cemetery that exists today was a lot of mass graves and very unfinished, but today it is a beautiful and peaceful place to walk around. New York State has their state monument here, so there's a lot of things to see here in the cemetery. So let's go up there. Your first time visiting the Gettysburg battlefield or not, the town of Gettysburg is just as important. The town was also involved in the battle, especially after the first day's worth of fighting, as the Union soldiers were pushed through the town by the Confederates. So today there are a lot of historical buildings. You will see a couple buildings in my video which have little plaques on them that say Civil War building. That means that that structure has the distinction of being it existed during the actual battle. So there are many of them here in town. There are also several homes and structures here that have battle damage to them. There are bullet holes and different marks on them. There are a lot of different plaques that you can read about each individual homes, the families that live there, what happened to the structure after the battle. A lot of the homes that are in the town of Gettysburg became impromptu hospitals after the battle concluded. So there is a lot of information about that as well. Aside from the battle, the town today has quite a few different restaurants. There are over 40 different types of restaurants here. There are breweries, there are wineries, distilleries, there are fine dining restaurants like the Dobbin House, which is actually the oldest structure here in Gettysburg. It was built in 1776, and now it is a restaurant and tavern. I highly recommend their food. They are very good. All of the wait staff dress up in kind of like colonial garb, so it's a really cool experience. So there are a lot of different options for places to eat. As far as places to stay, there is also a lot of options there. This town has quite a few bed and breakfasts. There are several major chain hotels, Quality Inn, Best Western, Hampton Inn, a lot of different places outside of town as well. So a lot of options for that. There are also several campgrounds in the area. There are also a lot of private rentals, Airbnbs, VRBOs in town as well, which give you a unique experience because you can stay in some of these older homes that are here in Gettysburg. There is quite a bit to do here as well, besides things to eat and places to stay. There are a lot of museums in town that you can visit, some that are specific to the Battle of Gettysburg, but also some different and eclectic ones. One that I stopped into was the Gettysburg Museum of History. It is a free museum and I highly recommend. This gentleman's collection is just unbelievable. There is relics here from not only the Civil War, but from the Battle of Gettysburg. There's relics here from World War I, World War II. There's a whole room dedicated to John F. Kennedy and his life. There is quite a bit to see in his museum, and like I said, it's free, so it is definitely worth checking out. There are also a lot of unique shops here in Gettysburg. One of my favorite is called Lark. It's a really eclectic shop with a lot of different things that you can buy. It's a beautiful brick building, wood floors, tons of different things to see inside there, a lot of different things that you can purchase as well. So it's a really cool store. The Gettysburg Baking Company is right next door, so if you want a sandwich, there is a great option there. Several of the churches here in town also offer tours, as they were here during the battle. So a lot of times you can walk inside and take a private tour with the staff there. That's also something that's free. Another great museum here in town is called the Orphanage Museum. Talks about an orphanage that existed here. It's one of the more haunted places that you can visit in town. They will tell you about that on your tour, but that is another one that I would definitely recommend. And speaking of things that are haunted, Gettysburg, it has no shortage of ghost tours. So if that is what you're into, there are definitely several companies here in town that will take you on candlelight tours and nighttime tours, and even take you to different locations on the battlefield or the outskirts of the battlefield, and where you can do tours and things like that. One of the great things about Gettysburg is really how walkable it is. Walking around the town square, there are a lot of beautiful historic buildings there. That is a major hub for a lot of restaurants and shops as well. So walking around the town square is definitely a must, especially at night after a long day of being on the battlefield. It's a beautiful place to walk around. A lot of times, especially in the summer, they will have live free music playing. Every first Friday is a big event here in Gettysburg. A lot of the restaurants have specials, a lot of the bars have specials, so definitely come out for First Friday. And the town of Gettysburg is also home to several festivals that take place throughout the year. There is Bike Week, which happens in July. There is a 1920s themed baseball weekend, which is very popular. The reenactment, which is also in July, that brings in a ton of people. There is Pride Week in June, which also has become very popular over the past couple of years. The Gettysburg Bluegrass Festival is held twice a year, once in May and in August. That is at a campground about 10 miles outside of town. Gettysburg celebrates Remembrance Day on November 19th, which is the commemoration of the Gettysburg Address, so there is a parade for that. There is also different events that take place here at the cemetery. So if you were in town in November, that's another great one. Another free event here at the cemetery is 100 Nights of Taps. And so every night at sundown from Memorial Day to Labor Day, taps is played here at the cemetery. So that's another great thing to check out if you're walking around town. Like I mentioned in yesterday's video, I mentioned that there are private companies here that do tours of the battlefield. One of them is the Gettysburg Tour Center, which does bus tours. There are horseback riding tours. There are bike tours, and there are also moped tours, which are very popular here, where you will be led around town and led around the battlefield. So it's a great way to explore. You also get that with a tour guide, and they will show you around all day. So if you have never visited Gettysburg, now is a great time to do that. Hopefully this video gave you some ideas of things to do and see and places to eat, and hopefully you found my videos convincing enough to come out and explore for yourself. I'm going to end this video here. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave me a comment, and I will see everybody on the next video. See ya!